Very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mamani and I warmly welcome all of you to Study IQ. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It's the ability to deal with them. This is very true. The thing is that problems are part and parcel of our life. There is nothing that we can do in you can say stopping the problem to enter our life. The only thing that is in our hand is to not give a chair to this problems, whatever the problem is, and to ensure that we carry a smile and a sort of confidence that at the end of the day the problem is going to get solved. With this, dear friends, Study IQ has introduced many pen drive and tablet courses recently, so make sure you check out studyiq.com to know more about it. And needless to say, this pen drive and tablet courses are designed by the best faculties of our country, so the quality that you get with our pen drive and tablet courses are top of the range. With this, the first item that we have is pertaining to problem of plenty associated with farmers or agriculture. Yesterday as well we were talking about agriculture, and today we have a sort of you can say you can add on to the things that we have discussed yesterday. Now the thing is that it starts with this prices of potatoes has fallen sharply after a year of bumper production. This is called cycle of boom and bust. Boom and bust basically means I'm sure you might have seen this sort of frequency graph, right? You know, it goes up and down and you have a line here. So there are some, you can say, during different period of time you have the prices of these potatoes going up, and then it falls down very sharply, and it falls down to such an extent that it is not viable for you to even store them. It is better for you to get rid of them or chuck them in the bin. So this is the situation of potatoes at present, and one of the reasons behind it is this cobweb phenomena. Very important phenomena for you guys to understand, right? Cobweb phenomena is something that has created this sort of situation in the past as well for our farmers. What happens basically is that when the farmers see that the price of potatoes or the profit they can make out of potatoes is quite good, then what they will do is they will just focus on potatoes, right? And then what happens basically at the end of the year or after the end of the season, that the supply is too high, right? There is a mismatch in supply and demand, or demand and supply. And because you have, say for example, 10 people who will eat potatoes in the country, and if you are producing, say for example, 1000 potatoes, then naturally the prices of these potatoes is going to go down, right? So something like this happens, and this is called cobweb phenomena. I'm sure this is very easy to understand. We have talked about supply and demand, how it works and things like that. We have applied it to different products ranging from petrol to food prices to food and other things as well, right? So what should be done about this thing? The thing is that whenever we see this sort of situation in our country, then naturally it is a matter of concern for every one of us as a society, and of course as a government as well. Would be worried about it, because this can change the political scenario in our country. Back in history, or you can say if you go through politics, or if you observe the ups and downs in the politics and how different decisions have you can say affected our political stability, then you will be surprised to know that inflation, because of inflation we have seen change of guard. That means a central government was or a party that was in power lost in next election because it was not able to rein in inflation. And when you have agriculture now, again I would like to remind you about the figure, right? 50% plus population. So it is a matter of humanitarian as well as political crisis, you can say. And the way we are dealing with it is with populism. Populism basically means that you are providing or designing those sort of strategies, and you are declaring all those sort of relief measures which they sound a bit good, they are sweet for ears, but when you implement them, then you find that they are temporary in nature. So if we really want to get rid of this cobweb phenomena as well as this boom and bust cycle, then we have to fix this broken supply chain. The biggest problem with our farmers is that they buy everything at retail price, right? They have to pay retail price when they go for their shopping for their pesticides and chemicals and everything, right? Even electricity as well, though at many places they are provided with subsidy, but apart from that, most of the things they have to purchase, they pay retail price. But when they sell their finished product, that is crops or any other items, right, agriculture produce, they have to sell it at wholesale price. This is probably the only business in the world or in our country where you have this sort of reverse phenomena. Normally you purchase things in bulk and then you sell it in, you can say, bits, or you can say in small quantity, and then you make profit out of it, isn't it? So this is something that we have to change. This is you can say in terms of management, this is you keep your farmer here and then you keep your whole supply chain. Supply chain basically means right from the starting of raw material right to the finished, or you can say here you can put customer or consumer, right? So from here, all these things that a farmer is purchasing, that should be sorted out. It should be effective, efficient, and when he is selling things to the final customer, or maybe even to the middleman, right, then he should be able to get a good amount, right, for all the investment and risk that are associated with farming. So we have to fix this thing, and government can play a very important role here. There are many ways through which we can do it: by providing them subsidy on time, providing them crop loan on time. Apart from that, creating infrastructure for storage. And if things are not right in terms of, if we have this sort of situation, then government should, rather than we throwing away these potatoes, it is better to store them and supply it to those areas. Or government should have some sort of, quick response team that can supply these things to companies like McDonald's or other companies, right, big giants who are purchasing potatoes and other things from many different countries in the world. So this is how we can sort these things out. If we really want to do it, then there are many ways to do it. With this, we have this article and editorial basically, and this one is on Tunisia. Now here you can see this is Africa. Let me show you where exactly Tunisia is, or which part of the world we are talking about. This is our country India here, and this is the portion we are talking about, northern part of African continent. So here you have a country called Algeria, you have Libya here, and between these two countries you have Tunisia. The capital is Tunis, and you can see here Mediterranean Sea, right? Yesterday we were talking about, or day before yesterday maybe, we were talking about Israel. At that point of time as well, Mediterranean Sea was mentioned. So very important sea for all of us to understand and to locate. Here is Mediterranean, and you can see European countries are not far from this Tunisia. So naturally you will see a bit of you can say culture, right, of Tunisia, or North African culture. You'll find a bit of a common way of life, a little bit, right, and the people living in this part and this part, and of course this part here as well, right. So let's see why it is in news. I'm not sure whether you are aware about this thing, a thing called Arab Spring. Basically it was a revolution, and this revolution started in Tunisia, right, this country here. It is known as Arab Spring, or you can say Arab Uprising as well. It is used many a times, and all started because of this person here, right. He was president of Tunisia for 23 years, right. Tunisia, if you go back to the history of Tunisia, then you find that it was a colony of France, right, and compared to other countries of Africa, or you can say Arabic countries, if you compare it with other Arabic countries, then you find that the people of Tunisia were well educated. The systems and institutions are bit better compared to, or you can say they are far better, not bit better, but they are far better when you compare it with other Arabic countries. So naturally the people of this country, they were feeling this sort of pressure of unemployment, and many times these are the shades that you have to pick up as well. See, any sort of revolution that takes place anywhere in the world, may it be in our country, may it be Jat Andolan, or may it be this Partidar Andolan, or any other sorts of protest, one thing, or there are few common things behind it, right? When people are against this sort of reservation, or if they are asking for more reservation or for reservation for their community, then try to find the economical reasons that are driving this revolution. Here what we find in this Arab Spring is it all started because these people, right, these dictators, you can say these dictators, they used to control some 50% of the wealth of these countries. Like this Tunisia is a very beautiful country. If you see its sea coast or its beaches, like this Tunis, right, is a very famous place, and it was in news because a terrorist attack took place, and this sort of, because it is a sort of compared to northern European countries, it is warm over here. So European people, they do come, or they do visit this part of Mediterranean mostly every year to get some sort of sunburn, and because of this terrorist attack, the tourism has been down for a very long period of time. Somewhere around 2015 this took place, this terrorist attack. Now earlier on it was quite famous for tourism, so people were bit aware about how the people of Europe and other countries, right, how well they are living, their democratic system and things like that. And then we had this social media boom around late, you can say late 2010 and 2009, and this were the years where we had this rapid expansion of social media, right? New people started having their accounts and things like that with social media. So the world came to know about, means everyone came to know about each other with the help of these photos and videos and other things. So they realized that something is missing with or something is lacking, and this created, you know, a sort of turmoil, and finally it ended up with this Arab Spring. And this ripple effect of this Arab Spring that started in Tunisia was felt in other countries as well, in other Arabic countries. And you know, the problems in Egypt, and there was in Bahrain as well, there were protests, and in Saudi Arabia as well, the kingdom was quite worried about. Now at present the situation is that petrol subsidies are quite low and taxes are quite high. 25% of the youth of Tunisia is unemployed, and tourism, as well as I told you, is not in a good shape. Of particular concern is a 2015 security law that has been revived following the recent death of police officials. So if you do any sort of protest or anything, then the police can use a heavy hand on you and things like that. So this is something that has added fuel to the fire. And in recent years, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, right, the way it has been, you can say, interfering, you can say, or the World Bank, right, both this IMF and World Bank, they are insisting Tunisia to cut down some of its expenses. And if the expenses are, or if you can say this measures are taken, right, structural reform measures, or you can say this contingency plan, if this is applied, then this is going to create more troubles, right? It will be difficult for the people to start new job and things like that. With this, dear friends, enabling a form of super surveillance. This is about Aadhaar card. Now tomorrow, that is 17th January 2018, right, tomorrow we are going to see that Supreme Court is going to say something about right? We are going to hear something about, or you can say the stand of Supreme Court on this Aadhaar will get clear. Now, how it all started? It started in 2009 with the executive notification was issued, and then we saw this establishment of UIDAI. It promised many things. It promised that no one will be left, and it also promised that your data will be protected. It promised that things are going to change forever, and there were many other promises as well, that we will save this much in subsidy and everything will be digital and whatever. Now, the thing that was during its inception, it was a voluntary thing, right? That if you really want, then you can get it. If you have it, then you have benefits, means in the sense that there are some additional benefits that you get because of if you have Aadhaar. But now what we see is that it has turned into a mandatory thing, right? There are many people, and we do see this sort of news as well. Remember that not provided with an ambulance because Aadhaar was not, that person was not able to produce Aadhaar. This sort of things particularly happens in states like Assam, where you have where you are having a problem of Bangladeshi migrants. So this sort of incidents do take place, and then eventually you find out that that person was an Indian citizen. But again, if we see the constitution, and in terms of humanity as well, if someone needs emergency medical help, then there is no point of asking for Aadhaar, isn't it? So this is just one example. There are many other examples as well. It was when a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago, this news was you can say it was a topic of the country. A child, right, a teenage girl died because of hunger, and the reason why she was hungry is because her family was not able to get any sort of food from this ration shop, because they were not able to produce or prove their identity using this Aadhaar card. Something was wrong with the machine or something. But anyway, so this sort of situations do take place, and this sort of situations has created us basically these are the things that are triggering courts to take some step on this Aadhaar. Now, this 2016 bill that was tabled in the parliament at present, Aadhaar is legal, right? It is not only, and it used to be executive notification, but now it is passed from the parliament. But the way it is passed, it was passed as the money bill. So you might be knowing about this thing, that money bill is a bill in which Rajya Sabha cannot have any say. Either it can provide recommendations, right, and either it can say yes or no, but Rajya Sabha's yes and no does not really matter. It is the Lok Sabha that has upper hand when it comes to money bill. So there was an opposition as well regarding the nature of this Aadhaar bill. Now there are a few questions that are, you can say, at the heart of the matter regarding consent, that can a state part your personal information without your consent, without asking you? Can they give it to someone else? What about surveillance? They are keeping an eye on you all the time. Now, exclusion, what government is doing regarding the people like who are dying because of they are excluded from the services, and what about the protection of our personal information? Now, the thing is that yesterday as well we talked about this thing, that if a person's personal information is in the hand of state or any other authority, or maybe some corporates, then they can misuse it, right? They can, and it is against our Article 21 as well. You cannot force anyone, right? Our bodily integrity is guaranteed under our constitution. So this is basically, this article is criticizing, as you can see, Aadhaar, and we should have both views, right? We should have both pros and cons, or you can say merits and demerits of Aadhaar, because you never know, right, what sort of question you may face. They may ask you to criticize or critically analyze. When I say critically analyze, then it is not about criticizing it, it's altogether different thing. But they may ask you to criticize criticize Aadhaar, so you should have some points, and if they ask you positive ones, then of course you should have some So let's see what Supreme Court is going to say us tomorrow, right? Till then, let's crack on to another very interesting article. This is about soil, how soil can play a very important role in you can say taking away this carbon that we find in the air, right? The thing is that soil can serve as a sink for carbon dioxide. And at present, we know this 410 ppm of carbon dioxide is found in the air. And when we use, say for example, when we promote or use soil as a sink, then it has some co-benefits as well, right? So we get some additional benefits by using this soil. Now, how it all works, let's see the strength of soil first. See, soils can contain roughly 2,344 gigaton. 1 gigaton is equal to 1 billion tons of organic carbon, making it the largest terrestrial pool. So you can understand now from this particular information itself, we can understand the major role that can be played by soil. Now, this soil organic carbon, SOC, comes from plants, animals, microbes, leaves, wood, and they are mostly found on the top layer, right? So you have this 1 meter or maybe 1.5 2 meter max. You find these items here. They become the soil organic carbon. There are many conditions and processes that determine changes to SOC content, including temperature, rainfall, vegetation, soil management, and land use change. For us, it is very important to understand this soil management and land use change, because this is something that is directly in our hand, human hands, right? And these two statements are important as well to understand what this soil organic carbon is all about. Just in case if you find a question in MCQ, this could be the toughest one that you may get. When I say toughest one, the toughest questions that you find in MCQ exams are the ones with the statements, right? Or they give you one statement and then you have 4 statements and then you have to select the options. So this basically means that these 4 statements are designed in such a way they work as a question itself. So keep this thing in mind. With this, increasing SOC through various methods can improve. There are many ways through which we can improve soil health: by agricultural yield, food security, water quality, reduce the need for chemicals, and changing agricultural practices at present, right? We are saying that we are moving towards more and more chemicals, but if we want to save our fresh water, biodiversity, then we have to we have to switch to more organic farming. And see here, just 1 ton of soil carbon pool of degraded cropland soils can increase crop yield by several kilograms per hectare. The reason why I am just reading these lines here is because this particular article, right, the lines that I find in this particular articles are so important. They are very important. I would reckon to save this article, right, because it has many important figures in within itself, right? See, potential to offset GHG emissions, greenhouse gases emissions from fossil fuels by up to 15% annually. This is the capacity of this soil carbon pool, and SOC in India is reducing, right, from 30% to 60% in cultivated soils, because we have earlier on, the thing with our country is that organic farming is something, it could be a new thing in Western world, but here in India, many farmers in our country, they are not in a position to afford all these chemical herbicides, fertilizers and pesticides. So they prefer normal or their traditional method of farming. And in fact, now we understand that this traditional method of farming is more better, is more sustainable compared to this green revolution type of farming. Of course, at that point of time in 70s, there was a sort of you can say requirement of food security, and grain security. For that we require this green revolution, but we should have decided a sort of deadline of this revolution as well, because too much of this chemicals we have destroyed, degraded our soil, and we see many diseases taking place, isn't it? Cancer train and other things, you might have heard about it. So we have some good examples. Sikkim is a very good example when we talk about organic farming. Madhya Pradesh in terms of acreage ranks number 1 when we talk about ecological farming or organic farming, or traditional way of non-sustainable farming could be a very good word as well. So in future we are going to see more and more severe weather, and this will our population is also going to rise till 2050, and after that we may see a drop in population, gradual drop. It's not going to be all of the sudden. So till 2015 we need more food, we need to grow more food in less land, and for that we need, and at the same time we would be fighting this climate change thing as well. So we need to secure our soil, we have to switch to healthy option, right? And all those lobbies and all those scientists, or you can say agricultural scientists who are not trained in agroforestry and ecological methods, when they are arguing, they are not considering the benefits that we can get from this natural farming. So that's some important points for farming and natural farming. With this, dear friends, a very easy one. This is about CJI and 4 judges. Now we have talked about this thing in detail, and basically it sent the shock waves across the country, and many people, they say that this is detrimental for the image of judiciary. Other people say that these judges were not having any choice at all. Central government remained neutral. One thing is for sure that we can get from this, or the gist of this article, is that a CJI cannot solve everything by himself, right? He requires a sort of team to support him. It's a very important job for the country, CJI. And all the things that CJI is doing should be transparent, right? When I say all the things, I mean to say that all those things that logically requires transparency, that all those things should be transparent. Now, of course, when you are talking about national security, then you don't have to share information pertaining to national security, like which terrorist you are going to grab next month, or who is in your watch list. This sort of things we can understand, but decisions and other things that are important should be discussed with, or you have to create this sort of team working environment. At present, there are mixed reports. Someone says, basically our Attorney General said that things are sorted out. In today's Hindu, we find that things are not sorted out. So let's wait and watch for a couple of days, and let's see whether this thing has really sorted out or not. This one is about litigant. Now, government is the biggest litigant in India, or basically, if you don't know what litigant is all about, then the cases going on in courts, right? Government is involved in majority of the cases, nearly 50% of cases. But the real fact, if you go through the figures, if you break down these figures, then you find that this 46% figures, or this figure includes every department, state government and other governments, right? Because as per Article 12, even the universities, right, government granted universities are also part, or they become, or they fall in the definition of state. So it won't be right. In terms of central government, you can see here only 7.4% of fresh cases in 2014 were filed by central government. What we need to do is we have to get rid of this one size fits all approach, because in this way we are not going to sort out the problem of this, litigation that is going on in terms of state versus some private company or individuals. Because as per Article 226 and constitutional guarantee, right, Supreme Court as well, if the state is doing something that is against you, if it is against your fundamental rights, then you can knock the doors of Supreme Court. This sort of things are given in our constitution, which is right as well. But One thing that we should keep in mind that we have to sort these cases out, because there are other important cases as well, right? I don't mean to say that these cases are not important, but the government is involved in so many things. So either government should increase, of course not either, they have to increase their performance. Quasi-judicial setup should be created, so we don't have to go to the courts all the time and waste their time. Things that can be sorted out at administrative level, right, we should try to sort it out over there. This one is a picture. You can see that the person here has seriously taken the bull by the horn. This is I believe a scene from Jallikattu. And here is one of the most important item, India and Israel agreements, right? Cyber security, energy, air transport, then internet. You have this IOCL and iFinery Limited, film production, right? This is a new one. Medicine, space, invest in India and invest in Israel. So these are some areas in which we had signed MOUs between both these countries have signed MOUs. Very interesting item, or you can say proposal by Israel. They have talked about this big data. Now what big data means, that you collect information about farmers, and then based on this information you try to fulfill their whatever issues are associated in farming or agriculture. So this is a new thing. Let's see whether we are going ahead with this thing or not. Israel is using this technology, this method of big data when it comes to cybercrime as well as agriculture. So of course we know that Israel is you can say one of the best example when it comes to producing maximum by you can say the input could be minimum but the output could be maximum. There are many other items as well, and here you can see different news items I have clubbed here. This one is about Israel has said that relationship between both our countries are holistic enough, so this sort of Jerusalem and Palestine issues are not going to create cracks between both this country of India and Israel. Regarding easier environment of business, India has promised Israeli firms that red carpet is ready for them. Netanyahu as well as child Moshe, they are going to visit this Nariman house, 2611 thing. And 1875, very important information, Maharaja Sayyajirao Gaikwad of Gujarat, Baroda state, he provided 50,000 square feet plot for burial cum prayer ground for Jews. So this is going to be restored. With this, dear friends, 7 Pakistani soldiers are killed in Indian retaliation. Befitting reply has been provided by India. This All India Institute of Medical Science Resident Doctors Association has invited our health minister. They have given a sort of open debate challenge to discuss about this National Medical Commission Bill 2017. CBI's Special Investigation Team has said that things are the probe against ex-CBI. He was involved in this call scam. So SIT tells that progress in probe against progress is going on, or work is in progress. Face recognition will be used by UIDAI for all those people, right, for aged people and for people who have worked in sort of did labor work. So to get their fingerprint is a bit difficult, so it will be used in a fusion mode. Basically either your iris will be scanned or your face and iris, and so it would be in combination, not just face will not do. And a sad news coming from Baghdad, 90 people have got injuries and 38 died in a suicide attack. This is a small news item from a pink paper, financial paper, and this is about inflation, right? Some basic details, right? Food prices and other things have cooled down a little bit, but the petrol prices has gone up, as you can see here. Since 2014, right, the petrol prices, or you can say it has touched $70 a barrel. It is highest since August 2014. So things are going to be a bit difficult for us, and this is a very interesting picture here. You can observe it, and analyze, and if you can form a view, then I would love to hear from you. What do you understand from this picture? With this, I have a question, descriptive type question, and the question is, if Swaraj, Gandhiji said, means self-rule, then securing air, water and grain means securing Swaraj, right? Ignore this thing. If Swaraj means self-rule, then securing air, water and grains means securing Swaraj, said Gandhiji. What do you understand by this statement? With this, dear friends, I end this discussion here. Don't forget to check out StudyIQ.com for pen drive and tablet courses, and I will share this file on my Facebook page, that is Prashant Imamani. I will share it on our Telegram channel as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can motivate us, encourage us by giving us your like and positive feedback. I would be eagerly waiting for your answer on this question as well as your observation on this picture. Enjoy your studies. I will see you all soon. Take care and Jai Hind.